All right, let's talk Oklahoma Sooners. Kind of a quiet offseason after a disappointing regular season for Oklahoma, undeniably so. We're focused now on 2025 and lost in all the hustle and bustle. It looks like the Sooners have pulled off a massive transfer portal steal, which should really help them at a key position. We'll break down exactly why this news is great for Oklahoma. But first, I'm Nick, and this is Saturday Morning Inspection. All right, let's talk about what the Sooners have done this offseason to make this team better. Not a lot of crazy headline grabbing moves. There's been some, but I think some of the under the radar moves and additions the Sooners have made could be huge for them going forward. Let's go into one in particular that looks to be a great find. Let's pull up the report here, courtesy of Sooners Wire. One of the more underrated positions for the Sooners is offensive lineman Derek Simmons. A position versatile FCS transfer from Western Carolina, Simmons provides the Sooners with some exceptional position flex value, showcasing the ability to plug in at both tackle spots and guard when necessary. Simmons was a highly sought after offensive tackle prospect in the transfer portal after performing well in games against Arkansas and NC State the last two seasons. He didn't allow a sack in either of those games, displaying the ability to play with teams at the Power 4 level. All right, so Western Carolina is a Southern Conference FCS program, but that doesn't mean they don't find great finds. Usually they find guys like Simmons that kind of slide under the radar, maybe are a little thin. They grow into great bodies and they become elite players. And it looks like the Sooners have got one here in Simmons that, again, wasn't a big time recruit coming out of high school, but it looks like he's a great get for this team now. Miles, I'm curious what your thoughts are on all of this, but Oklahoma fans, you first in the comment section below. So far, how would you grade this offseason for Oklahoma? And we understand it may not be the prettiest in the world, but we want your honest opinion. You think it's been okay, you give it a B. You think it's been disappointing, maybe it's a C minus. Do you really hate it? F. Or maybe you really like it. Who knows? Maybe it's an A offseason. Let us know your grade for the Sooners offseason up to this point. Put it in the comment section below. But Mize, give us your thoughts on this massive transfer portal steal for Oklahoma.
Yeah, Nick, I think this is a huge one for the Sooners. It's really big, and I like that they came in, and this just shows the Sooners are really good at analyzing and finding talent, and they did so here with this guy before anybody knew he was going to be big. It's already starting to come around, and I'll get to this in a second, that people are starting to notice how good he was. They're starting to dig more into him. He's making rises up a lot of different rankings and off-season rankings as far as where he's graded and things like that. But Oklahoma saw it first. They saw it before this guy was anyone special to the unbeknownst to looking at his grades, his rating, his stars. They saw something in this guy and they got it. So early on, Simmons hit an 88 grade overall. He was a 3-star guy, ranked number 167 overall. When you're talking about the transfer portal, nothing crazy, not that great, not that but they saw something in. Now, just a few days ago on the 4th of February, they did a regrade of all of the prospects they jumped. Simmons goes up from an 88 to a 91. Then he jumps 75 spots in the rankings, moving from number 167, the top 100 guy, number 92 overall, and he's a 4-star in the transfer portal now. This just shows that Oklahoma really is doing a great job. They're getting these under the radar guys. These are the kind of guys that help put you ahead. You could spend a lot of resources, a lot of assets going on after the top tier guys, going after the number, top 25 guys in the transfer portal, 4 or 5-star recruits. But when you find these diamonds in the rough in a guy like Derek Simmons, this is what Coach Venables needs to keep doing. They need to find these guys and help bring in these gems. So these are easy wins. You bring this guy in, you find a diamond in the rough. You didn't have to allocate so much resources. You probably don't have to spend a whole lot of NIL dollars to bring in a guy like Simmons, but he's going to be a really solid player. This is going to be the kind of stuff that sets you ahead of the competition. It's a tough venture you're in now in the SEC. It's going to be really difficult, but these are the kind of things that help you compete. These are the kind of things they need to keep doing. And I'm really excited about the addition of a guy like Derek Simmons because it's showing they have what it takes. They know what to look for, and they're getting these under the radar guys to help them get up in the rankings. We have a little bit better season next season. Going to be able to pull in even higher level recruits easier. I think that things are looking really bright for Oklahoma, but this latest edition shows they're right on track and they know what to do as far as coming and getting guys that are diamonds in the rough.
Yeah, let's talk about Derek Simmons here for a little bit. So I had to just pull it up and double check while you were talking there. Apologize for looking at my screen, but just because it's his story is so crazy, I just wanted to fact check myself live before I said something. So this is a kid from Florida, right? And was a very good high school player, but for whatever reason, he was evaluated just low as a prospect wise. Maybe his film probably didn't look great. And look, the reality is a lot of times there are good players. They have good height, weight, which he obviously does. He's 6'6", 300 pounds, even though he was a little smaller, obviously, back in his high school days. But there's just something about a player that these big schools and the SEC schools, ACC schools, they all kind of miss this sometimes. Maybe he ran a bad 40, right? Maybe he just kind of looked a little stiff. And people are like, we don't like his knee bend or we don't like his hip bend or whatever. He played really small level high school football or in some big moments he didn't play up to speed or whatever. And suddenly this guy falls through the cracks. He goes to Tusculum, which is a D2 school in Tennessee, dominates there for one season, goes to Abilene Christian, a D1 AA school in Abilene, Texas, which is FCS D1 AA, but not the greatest one, dominates there, then goes to Western Carolina with the Southern Conference, which is one of the top conferences in FCS level football, does great things there, and now is going to Oklahoma. Every time he steps on the field, he dominates, right? He goes to D2, dominates, goes to Abilene Christian, dominates, goes to Western Carolina, dominates. He is just a good football player. Does it look pretty on the field? No. But you know who else didn't look pretty for Oklahoma Sooners at tackle? Orlando Brown, right? There is a reason that sometimes offensive linemen don't look pretty. It's because they're massive dudes with a lot of weight on their frames, right? Sometimes it looks ugly. Sometimes it looks, God, how does he get that done? But I don't care how ugly it looks. I want the job done. I want the right guy blocked. I want the quarterback protected. I want movement at the point of attack, right? That's all that matters. So many times in offensive lineman evaluation here, and as a former FCS offensive lineman myself back in the day, this would really frustrate me. Who can make the block? Who can execute? Who can make the play? That's what matters. So many times it just becomes, well, who has the best knee bend and hip placement? Who has the longest arms or whatever stupid characteristic instead of who's really good at blocking. And this is a kid in Simmons. I say kid, he's a grown man. He's transferred a bunch of times. He's a very mature individual at this point who is just a great blocker, which is what you want in an offensive lineman. He proved it in D2, dominated. Abilene Christian, dominated. Western Carolina, dominated. He's going to dominate for Oklahoma in the SEC. I have no doubt about it because every chance he gets, he steps up to the plate. To me, at this point, this may be one of the steals of the offseason, not just for Oklahoma, but for not just in the SEC, but for any program. I think Simmons goes on to the NFL. I'm rooting for this kid. I think he's a future star. Great pickup by the Sooners.